Wednesday, friends. Welcome to Wellness Tips for You Wednesday. Today we're talking about relaxation. Do you ever relax? Do you feel guilty if you relax? I don't know about you. I actually used to feel really guilty if I relaxed. I was a real perpetual doer. I was always had something that I should do. And so I wanted to go over today what happens to us when we don't relax, actually what happens to the brain and the body when we don't relax, the benefits of putting mindful practices or mindfulness practices into our daily routine, and also a few ideas to help you consider ways that you might be able to start to just do a little bit more relaxation every day. You know, we are surrounded by our screens. Oh my God, how many of us? I think the statistic is still that there are more people in the world that have a mobile phone than have a flushable toilet. That is scary stuff, isn't it? I mean, that's quite shocking. But we've become, especially in the Western world, we've become so detached from actually knowing who we are and recognizing our emotions, recognizing various things that are going in our bodies, that because we're just constantly scrolling, how many of you, when you're tired and you just need to zone out, you just sit there and you're like scrolling social media? It's not good for us. It's just like we've kind of lost the art of just taking time out regularly for our own self-care and our own self-love, which is just so important. There is no massive surprise that so many people are struggling and dying from anxiety related illnesses because of the fact that so few of us just don't take time to relax. I think a lot of us also feel pressure to relax. If you're a part of a couple and you both go on holiday, and maybe your husband loves visiting monuments and loves visiting churches and loves really diving deep into the culture of a city, but that just exhausts you. You might be interested in it, but it's not your idea of complete relaxation. So you might just prefer to be on the beach. You might just want to be by the pool and read a book. You might just want to swing in a hammock in the middle of the forest somewhere. So I think it's really important that we all identify our own ways of working out what relaxation means to us, and just becoming more aware of how we're feeling in our bodies and in our brains, so that we actually can think, this is about time I took some relaxation for myself. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't mean that you need to go and book yourself into a 3-week Buddhist retreat. It's just taking daily actions that are going to help your mental and your physical health. It's really fascinating, actually. When I was doing my psychotherapy course and hypnotherapy, I actually nearly went down the neuroscience route, because it is absolutely fascinating how our behaviours can affect the brain, and how our thoughts can affect the brain, which then affect our behaviours, and how we can even affect the chemicals that are going through our bodies because of the way we think. It's all so closely interrelated. I never did go down that route, but I think the fact that I'm in the psychotherapeutic field, the fact that I'm in the health and wellness industry, I'm able to sort of, that's part of my relaxation, is reading research on these sorts of things. I know most people would go, oh my God, that would bore me senseless, but that's what I like. That for me is time to relax. I read these sorts of information when I'm in bed getting ready to go to sleep, and I don't fall asleep through boredom. I just fall asleep because I'm tired, but it really stimulates me. I find it incredibly interesting, but also relaxing to just focus on those sorts of things. So we're all different. What suits you won't necessarily suit me, and vice versa, but it's important that you find something that does suit you. So I think a good indication of whether you're a bit over frazzled is, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Do you feel rested and relaxed and happy and energetic and happy to get on with the day? Or do you feel frustrated? Do you feel angry? Do you feel anxious? When you are lying there, how do you feel? Because that's a really good indication of whether you've got that balance right, for your own, thank you for the heart, for your own mental and physical wellness. So if we don't relax, if we don't take time to get in touch with our bodies, actually, just first of all, put your hand on your heart and just feel it beat. It's just, there's something so connecting about just feeling your heart beating. It's something so, it helps you to connect back to your soul, or to who you are, the essence of who you are. So few of us do it, and by doing this, I can actually feel my heart beating inside my rib cage. But it's almost like when you're pregnant and you can feel your baby moving on the inside of you. It's that kind of feeling, and it really brings you back, for me, in a very earthy way, as to the fact that I'm a human being on a planet where we are all interdependent and all interrelated, and everything that we do has an impact on an energetic level with the rest of humanity and the universe, I suppose. You might think that's a bit airy fairy, but that's the way I look at it. So connect with yourself. Just spend some time daily. It just needs to be a few minutes. Put your hand on your heart, take some deep breaths, and just really connect with how you're feeling in your body. Because if you do nothing else for your relaxation, that is going to be one of the most powerful things you can do. When I ask my anxiety clients to do that, sometimes it makes them cry. And I know why. It's because we're so disconnected from ourselves on so many different levels. And to really connect and feel your heart beating, and to be taking deep breaths, which stimulates the vagus nerve, it helps us relax, floods our body with good stuff. It's just so powerful. So if you do nothing else, just get into the practice of putting your hand on your heart and just doing some slow, deep breathing, and really, really going into yourself, really zoning in to how you feel. And if you feel people are watching you and thinking, what's he doing? Or what's she doing? Just go and do it on the toilet, or just ignore them. I mean, I don't care if people laugh, let them laugh. That says more about them than it ever will do about you. So, but I understand some people feel awkward about it. So, but just make time to do it, a couple of times, several times a day. So yeah, if we don't relax, it makes us more stressed, obviously. So it can lead to high blood pressure. It can lead to some palpitations. Our heart beats faster. It can affect our sleep, obviously, because when our body is in the fight and flight mode, we're releasing cortisol and adrenaline. I mean, last night I worked late. I got my teeth well and truly into a project on my laptop, and I always say to people, turn the laptop at 8 p.m. Laptop off at 8 p.m. Normally I do, but last night I was in the zone. I was in creativity mode. And that is great. I was so pleased with what I made for my team, but I didn't sleep well at all. It took me ages to go off, and then when I did go to sleep, it was really fragmented sleep. So I paid the price today. So I'm going to bed early tonight, and I'm turning the bloody laptop off at about 8 o'clock, no later. But yeah, when we are allowing those stress hormones to build up in our bodies, because we're not doing anything with that cortisol, we tend to just sit at our desks, or if you're lucky enough to work outside in nature, then I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. I think if I had my time again, I might even come back as a tree surgeon, because I just love being out in nature. I love trees and I love working outside. But it basically it makes us hold on to fat around our bellies. Cortisol makes us do that. It's a survival technique. It's a survival response. So if you are highly stressed and you're not taking time out to relax regularly, and you're finding that your belly is getting slightly larger, it might be down to the fact that you are highly stressed. You could be doing everything right except for treating yourself kindly and dealing with your stress. Stress is always going to happen. Life gets in the way. It's the way the way the world works. However, we can change how we react to those situations. It's not about the fact that we want to make life bland and everything has to be safe and everything has to be in pretty pinks and purples and unicorns and fairies. That's not what I'm saying. It's about how we then deal with the bad things or the challenges when they come up. And if you're sort of following a regular relaxation practice, you're going to be much better equipped, and your brain is going to be much better equipped in order to deal with those sorts of things. The brain actually changes. I mean, there have been numerous studies, and they hook people up to MRIs, or put people in MRI scanners, and following like maybe a 6 week study when people are meditating regularly, and the structure of the brain actually changes. um, I won't go into all the details because it's actually quite confusing, and I think even if I went into all the details, it wouldn't clarify it at all. But just know that the structure of the brain actually does change when we do more relaxation techniques. Um, it's incredible, isn't it? The neuroplasticity of it. Um, it's a bit like it is. Do you know what? Relaxation can become a habit. We in our brain we have neural pathways, which is why, um, for instance, to stop smoking is it's more of the behavior that's associated with smoking which makes it more difficult to stop, rather than the actual addiction to the tobacco. Most addictions you can get over quite fast, but it's the behaviors that underline those, and it's those habits that we've built up over all those years. So you might have a drink and you have a cigarette, or it might be lunchtime, so you associate, you've had your food, you're in the office, you go and have a cigarette. You can beat that addiction to the tobacco really fast. It's breaking those habits, those behaviors that go alongside of your smoking habit, that make giving up actually much harder. And that's due to neural pathways that we create in the brain. They're like little channels, really. That's the way I see them, that we create in the brain, and we can strengthen them and we can weaken them. And by doing behaviors which are going to benefit us long term regularly, we strengthen those neural pathways. So it's like if you stop drinking alcohol, the first night might be really tough, but probably night 2 and 3 are going to be tougher, because you're losing a bit of willpower, and that's the sort of the dodgy zone. And then maybe day 10 to 12 you're sort of coming out of that dodgy zone, and then the further you go on and you manage to not drink the alcohol, you stop actually thinking about it. You stop thinking whether it's going to be a choice of yours or not. You just drink something alternative, non-alcoholic, and then as time goes on, you just do that more and more regularly. Thank you for the hearts, you guys. And that is those neural pathways. It's just new behaviors. So get into the habit of doing a regular relaxation behavior, whatever that might be. Regular meditation. I struggle with meditation. I have done it and I feel amazing when I do that as a practice. For me, exercise works. I love exercising and I love reading and I love time out in nature, and I do all three regularly every single day. I think I would go nuts if I didn't. But though that is the recipe for me. I also eat reasonably well, so I support my gut biome, and obviously a lot of our mental health is related to our gut, and so I do look after what I eat and drink most of the time, and that supports my mental health too. But it's just finding what works for you. So and I think also just becoming aware that sometimes we need to find a healthier alternative for relaxation. So you might think, oh, I get back from work, I'm frazzled, I'm just going to put the telly on, I'm going to eat something, and I can't be bothered, I'm too tired. But actually, television as well is stimulating our brain. The light, the noise, the actions. Even if you're just lying there watching it completely in a vegetative state, it's still not a particularly healthy way of relaxing. I'm not saying don't watch television, but I'm saying maybe make a concerted effort to actually specifically do something towards relaxation that works to enhance your life. So it's actually positively enhancing it, rather than a sort of neutral, ambivalent, I'm too tired, I can't be bothered to do anything, so this is my version of relaxation. Just take something that is going to work specifically positively for you. If you do that, you're going to sleep better, you're going to make better decisions the following day, you're probably going to make healthier eating choices, because when we're tired we tend to reach for the quick grab carbs and the sweet stuff. That's obviously no good, or not very good for us, particularly if you eat those regularly. Our immune systems are boosted. You'll also feel warmer. It's really weird. When we are under stress, often people get cold hands and feet, and it's because when we are in the fight and flight, whatever it is, I've forgotten the word thing. When we're feeling stressed, the blood in our bodies pools into the major muscles. So we don't really need our fingers and our toes as much as we do our thighs and our biceps and our back muscles in order to either fight the enemy or run away from it very fast. And so you'll find that if you're under stress and anxiety a lot, your hands and feet will be cold as well. So yeah, just a funny little fact for you. But that's what butterflies are. So you know when you get that sort of like nervous feeling in your stomach, again, when we are in fight and flight, so when you're nervous, so say you're about to go out on stage and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got such bad butterflies, it's the blood actually running out of your digestive system to power your muscles for the fight and flight. And that's what butterflies is. I just loved that when I found that out. I thought it was fascinating. So things that you can do to relax. I'm going to give you some of my suggestions. Take what works for you. That's the most important thing. And also try and, you know, if you live with somebody and your partner isn't on board with you taking regular relaxation practices, then you're going to kind of have to either talk to them about it and say, well, listen, I need this for me, so bugger off, or just do it in your own time. But don't allow somebody who's in your life to pinch your relaxation time. If it's not important to them, you know, you can't control and force them to say yes and get on board with it, but you can control it for yourself. So I'm just saying that because some people feel, you know, they say to their other half, oh, I'm going to start to meditate, and then they might laugh at them, or they might take them, you know, they might just joke at them. And I think there's a lot of people out there like that, and you've got to own your zone, own your space. You've just got to keep your own boundaries. And if relaxation is important for all of us, make sure you own your zone. Be aware of the fact that you want some space around yourself for your relaxation practices, and make sure you do them. So it could be reading a book. It could be listening to music. Music's so evocative. Do you know what? Music, even it, I can't. There's a connection. It connects directly to the brain more quickly than the majority of our other senses. And I mean, I'm sure you all can listen to some music that can make you cry, and you can be in a bad mood, and then you listen to something energetic on the radio and it lifts your mood, and you think, yeah, actually this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And music can really be calming and reflective. I remember the day that Princess Diana died, or was killed in her car crash, and all the radio stations played classical music, I suppose because we were all in grief. It was just such a sadness that she died. And I remember driving into London because I went and put some flowers at the gate of Kensington Palace, and I was sat in the queues going into London, and people were just in their cars crying. The whole nation and beyond our nation were mourning the loss of a really vulnerable, beautiful woman. And but that was, I think, music. Nobody wanted to listen to anything rock and roll. Everybody wanted to reflect and just consider life. I suppose we all wanted the big wide world just to slow down and just take a moment so we could all take stock of the shock of that news. But it was one of those days and music was such a defining moment of that day. And, you know, I think it's one of those things that can just be so powerful for our emotions. So if you need lifting up, maybe you play something that fills your heart with happiness. Or if you need some energy, put some more energetic music on. If you need time to reflect, put music on that helps you reflect. And there's nothing wrong with crying. If music stimulates something in you that makes you cry, maybe you need to be allowing yourself a bit more time off so that it's not just music that triggers that. You know, people seem really afraid of crying or ashamed of crying, and there's nothing wrong with crying. You don't plan to cry. If you cry, it's because your body and your mind needs to deal with something, and actually crying can be very, very healing. So I even have clients, when I massage them, it makes them cry because they're so disconnected with their bodies that have somebody actually doing something that's therapeutic to them can make just makes people cry sometimes. It doesn't mean I'm a really bad massage therapist, by the way. Just thought I'd say that. Journal. A lot of people find journaling incredibly therapeutic. It's very reflective. So, maybe journal, how are you feeling right now? So, get your journal and write, how are you feeling in your body right now? How does your face feel? Have you got tension in your brow? How does your neck feel? How does your stomach feel? How in your body are you feeling right now? And I think if you get into the practice of regularly journaling, again, I know people that do it in the morning and the evening. They sort of have a sort of a brain dump in the morning, and then the evening is more sort of structured as things that they've achieved that day and the things that they want to put on their to-do list for the following day. I think journaling can be incredibly reflective. And some people say, well, I daren't journal because my significant other might read what I've written. That's another thing with boundaries. You might need to have a conversation with them, or if you don't, if that level of trust isn't there, you might want to get safe or just hide them somewhere. I think if you're not able to journal and you're not able to trust your significant other for not reading your journals, then that is another area of possible change that needs to happen. But I'm not talking about relationships right now, just journaling and helping you relax. And just get out in nature, deep breathe, meditate, read, listen to music, journal, phone a friend. Those are like my top suggestions. And I think if you'll find, or meditate, you'll find the, if I didn't say that then, you'll find the one that works best for you, or the 2 or 3 that work best for you, and just make it a regular practice. And you will find that you feel so much more connected to who you are. You'll find that you'll become much more aware of your own boundaries. You'll find that you'll probably start saying no to a few things that you may otherwise previously have said, okay, I don't really want to do it, but yes, okay, I'll do it to keep the peace. I'm not saying don't keep the peace, but I do think we need to own our space. I think we all trade ourselves short on so many different levels. And when you start a practice that is all about self-love, I mean, relaxation, allowing yourself time to relax, is about self-love. And when you start that practice regularly, it leads on to really beautiful things, and you might even change the people that you end up surrounding yourself with regularly, because of the fact you're giving yourself some grace, and you are just becoming your own best friend and reconnecting with who you are on a very, very, very deep and very connected level, because so many of us have just lost that source of that sort of that essence of we're all individual, unique human beings, all trying to do our best. And sometimes you just have to be your own best friend first and foremost. I remember an old boyfriend of mine once saying to me, he felt like the lowest rung of the ladder. I was going through a really difficult time at the time, and our values are very different. And I felt my boundaries on every level were just constantly being bombarded by this individual. And I replied to him, and he was just like, well, I'm on the rung lower than you are. And that's how exactly how I felt. I felt like it made me realize how low I felt, how poor I felt, how just totally frazzled I was, because I wasn't doing anything that was fulfilling me. And actually, very soon after I ended that relationship, it was clearly not good for me. And I didn't want him to feel like I wasn't being attentive either. We just were not the right people for each other. And that was the way it went. But once I had ended that relationship, the relief again I felt free, because I wasn't defending my boundaries at all times of the day and the night. And it gave me time to reflect on what he said and reflect on my reply, but also to start a process that meant that I actually became friends with myself. And that was a really defining moment in my life, because up until that point, I hadn't really done that. I didn't even know I wasn't doing it until that comment, and then subsequently me ending that relationship very soon afterwards. and I've not looked back, and it's been one of the best things I did. I know, and I'm not talking about necessarily ending relationships, because things might just be a bit tricky. Sometimes you just need to talk things through and settle the sea, as it were. But sometimes people are just not the right ones for you. And if you're finding you're having to defend your boundaries regularly and you're living in this frazzled, stressed environment, you might be better alone. And once you're alone, you can get to know yourself so much better. And then if you find the right person, you've got so much more to give, because you cannot give to others from an empty cup. And on that, I'm going to end it. I have a challenge for you though. When you watch this, or if you're watching it right now, take a piece of paper and a pen and write down 3 things about you that you either admire or that you could even be so brave as to say that you love. Because too few of us recognize us for the good points. We are so good at berating ourselves and beating ourselves up and focusing on the negatives and things. I will go away from this knowing that I probably rambled far more than I wanted to do, and I could spend the afternoon thinking, oh god, that IGTV I did was rubbish. I really hope people don't think I'm a complete idiot and that all I do is ramble. Or I could go away thinking, well, I'm going to try not to ramble quite so much next time. I know I'm still rambling. I'm sorry, I just can't help it. I'm a rambler. And hopefully I've shared something with you that might be of help. I don't know. Let me know if it helps. Please let me know, because to have some feedback would be really helpful, because then I won't go away thinking it was rubbish. And if you do send me a horrible comment, yes, I'm just going to have to ride the wave and deal with it and learn from it and move on. So you guys, that's it. I've stopped rambling. I promise I won't go on any longer. I hope what I shared with you today was helpful. If you've got topics that you want me to cover next week on next Wellness Tips for You Wednesday, please, please, please leave me a comment or send me a private message. Quite a few of you are sending me private messages, and thank you. It's absolutely fantastic. I love knowing that A, you're enjoying this, and also that you... Ooh, I've just got loads and loads of messages that have just come through. And that also that you're coming up with ideas that you'd like me to cover in future Wellness Tips for You Wednesday, or Menopause Mondays, of course. So with that, have a fabulous rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. So thank you for your time, and catch you soon.